I developed like this little framework that I use when I think about creating content and building an influence online, and it goes into 3 steps. It's about content, distribution, and conversion. So let's talk about content, right? Content is any piece of things that you're going to create online and put it up on there. There's already content being created. The question is, you got to find that content that's related to you. And most of us, the common mistake that we make, we have the analysis paralysis, because you're too afraid to being judged. You're too afraid of like not putting the right thing or messing up or ruining your reputation. But let me give you an example. If I tell you right now, fast food, what brand do you remember right now? If I tell you coffee, what do you remember? Starbucks. Okay, do you know what those companies did? Branding. What is branding? They own space in your head. So they basically have a real estate in your head that's kind of owning it. Why? Because they keep the same message repeating and repeating it, right? When it comes to your brand, whatever you're trying to solve out in the world, if you're not putting content out there to be remembered for it, no one's going to pick up the phone and call you. So people build a relationship through content. And the second piece that I want to think about is when thinking about content is, there's this really good book that I reference all the time. It's called the 20-40-60. Anyone heard of it? All right, for those who haven't, I'll give you the little nutshell. So this woman wrote this whole book about the fear and like being thought about and talked about. She goes, at 20, I was so worried what other people think about me. At 40, I stopped thinking about what other people think about me. At 60, I realized that no one's thinking about me. Get it? So if you're so worried about creating content, I'm going to give you the recipe to make meaningful content, and don't worry what other people think about you, because guess what? They're going to be talking no matter what. At least you're the conversation versus not being talked about. So the first thing I think about when creating content is there's 2 pieces. You got to find the conversation happening, right? There's conversations already happening. So there's a tool like I call the keyword tool on your Chrome browser. You can go on Chrome, add an extension called keyword tool. And that keyword tool, anything you're searching, gives you other suggestions. Or there's another website called what is the world asking? Once you go to that website, it tells you what people are asking most of the time, right? So once you think about the world, let's take real estate, right? If you think about the world asking a lot about real estate questions, you can start planning your content based on those answers for those questions, right? And most of us, what we do is like when I create a piece of content, then do our thing, then create another piece of content. The worst thing that I see online with companies doing is like they post one thing and then go dead for like a month, then post another thing in 2 weeks and expect people to know them. Dude, I'm already consuming someone else's content in my feed. So that's the first piece, the content. The second piece is distribution. When I think about distribution, most of us like think about our own network. So the way I break it down is, you're the influence of the 5 people you hang out with the most, right? And if you're not thinking about adding more people to your influence, adding more people to your sphere outside of your influence, you're not going to grow your network and grow your net worth pretty much. So the idea that I want to think about is, when you think about distribution, you're more likely thinking about posting that piece of content on your own Facebook, on your own Instagram, on your own Twitter. Guess what? There's a conversation already happening that you've discovered early on. You should be taking that piece of content, posting it on that Facebook group in our LinkedIn, talking about food if you have a restaurant, or talking about real estate if you have a real estate project, right? So thinking about where the conversation already happening and distribute that conversation into those groups and those communities. The second thing I want to think about, how many of you in this room have business cards on their desk that are not being used? A lot of us, right? Those are the first email list you can ever create, and guess what? It's for free because you have the emails, right? You don't have to pay for those emails. So you can easily go to your phone, install an app called Cam Cards. You scan the cards one by one, and boom, you have an email list. And guess what? Walk around, collect business cards, because I still do that till today. Whenever I go to conferences, they have those tables sometimes with business cards. I pretty much take them all. Guess what? How much is going to cost me to send another email for those? Because I already composed the email. And if you think about their interest, right? If I was in a business, if it was a conference about businesses, entrepreneurship, most of those people need help either in marketing or in media buying. So whenever I collect them on this app, I actually just send them something specific about their pain point. Because the second thing, one thing I didn't mention in content, most of us, we think about content, it's about what we think is important. But you got to understand, the best content is who helps other people get where they're trying to go.